Welcome, folks. Fred Gleek here again with Bill DeWeese, once again on our weekly podcast slash YouTube stuff regarding Bill's week. So, Bill, how was your week?
It was good. $4,771. So
A little short.
little short of the 5,000, but that's I'm trending. Things were last week was over, so I don't feel too bad about it. Yeah, it was a good week.
Good. Okay, so let's start with Monday. First off,
Okay, Monday.
new clients, if there are any.
I did have one new client on Monday, and it was my only new client of the week.
Okay.
That I'm talking to some others, but that's the only one that I actually had a project from this week.
Okay.
It was for a company called Saudi Aramco, apparently an oil company, and I obtained them through a pay-to-play site.
Okay.
Voice 1 2
Speaking
3.
of which, now's a good time for
I was just setting you up. It was a poof. Now you just spiked the ball.
Yes, the pay-to-play webinar is coming up, and we may want to put on the screen exactly what the location there is to sign up.
Yes.
So why don't you tell people real quickly about that?
It's a VOP2P, as in the number 2, VOP2Psuccess.com, and we're limiting it to 20 people so we can get lots of interaction, questions answered. But the purpose of it is I get so many emails of people saying, "Oh, I'm so frustrated. I've done 300 auditions," or fill in the blank, and I haven't got a job yet. And a lot of the frustration that you may be experiencing is due to things that you don't even realize. I mean, you're frustrated because you're not getting the job, but the problem may not be what you think. And there's auditioning strategies involved, and you want to be a good auditioner. And that could be part of your problem, possibly. But there are other strategies involved. And it's, these are two huge databases. That's what they are. And you have to learn to play that game to make yourself visible. And so I've done that, I've been doing it for 10 years. And I continue to do it very successfully. Right now, at least between a third and a half of my clients every week have either I've gotten through pay-to-play sites, either recently or dating back to 10 years. I mean, some of these clients I've had forever.
Got it. And so this webinar is going to be all about showing people how to maximize their revenue using the pay-to-play sites.
Absolutely. And there's no reason, if you've got talent and ability, there's no reason you should not be making money, a lot of money through pay-to-play.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so then back to Saudi Aramco, which, by the way, a friend of mine, I think, actually was right out of graduate school, worked for Aramco in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the company. Well, I am now, but I wasn't prior to this. But that was interesting because the client, the end client, was in Saudi Arabia, obviously,
Right.
and I'm not sure where the production company is located that I was actually doing the work for. But we were working back and forth through this time difference. So that's always an interesting challenge. You get feedback from the client, but their feedback comes while you're still in bed, and then you get up to record and they're going to bed. So it kind of it delays the process, but nonetheless,
You were able to get it. So you booked the business, and so again, in general, and we haven't talked about this in a while, that job was booked and done, but may not be paid for a while because you've got to go through an invoicing process and collection, right?
Right. Yes. So Mallory, my assistant, will send out an invoice immediately upon completion of the job. I send it out to the project. We give them 24 hours. I always say, here's the project for your review. And if we have not heard back within 24 hours, we go ahead and invoice anyways, because as you know, as people get further away from the completion of a project, the less likely they are to pay promptly. So we always invoice quickly.
Got it. Now, and when you do that, now you probably know this because you're keeping the books on QuickBooks or something. What's the average age of your receivables?
Actually, I don't know. I'd have to talk to Mallory about that.
Got it. I was just curious.
That's a good question.
Yeah, and you can figure that out for next time, and we'll ask Mal what.
I can tell you this: the bigger the company, the longer it takes to get paid.
Yeah. So don't be surprised, people, if you're not getting paid by the big Fortune 500 companies, and if you're getting paid in less than 60 days, that's good, huh?
It is. I don't sweat anything till after 60 or so days.
Okay.
So,
what else?
Did some safety training. I did some on-hold work for a ear, nose, throat office. Some IT narration for something called Intralinks Via. Do you guys have Kroger grocery stores in Las Vegas?
We don't have them in either Vegas or in the LA area. I think
Okay, they're based out of Cincinnati. They're, I guess, here in the Midwest. I did some training for them.
Okay.
Some CAD software training, and also some more work for Intel for their internal training purposes.
Now we talk about the fact that narration is often 80% of your work. You take that and combine that with the fact that pay to play is where you get a lot of your business from. So understanding pay to play and learning how to do narration, two important things. And by the way, is that seminar filled already?
Yeah, it's filled.
Yeah. But people will be able to see what you did with those folks. And so you've got people coming to an event that we will, after it's done, you'll be able to, anybody who is listening or watching will be able to get the materials from that.
Correct. Yes,
so
correct.
Of this work that you did on Monday, and the majority of it was narration. And
it's all narration.
Half to a third of it was done through pay to play.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yep, very much. I mean, and it just repeats, the pattern repeats itself over and over again. Yeah. Tuesday, I did it was a training for SPS, Treating Customers Fairly. I'm not sure who SPS is, but that was the client. Also did a training for respect in the workplace. I did a piece regarding commercial, or actually it was a commercial for a drilling fracturing outfit in Canada, and did some more training narration on pharmaceutical testing and how you get regulatory approval in Europe and America. And this popped up a few times this week. This has been going on for the past week or two. Some of this stuff can be, I mean, I've probably done 50 pages so far and probably not done yet. It's just a huge project.
Got it.
Wednesday, I did some internal...
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Okay, so say you have a large project like that, you don't bill for that until the end of the project, correct?
Yes, and in this case, I'm working. Here's an interesting note. Most of my projects, I'm not working for the end client. I typically am almost always working for a production company, and then so what happens is the production company bills for the work at the conclusion of the project, and most of these companies actually pay me before they get paid, but not always.
Now, these companies that the end user company, the reason why they're not trying to go direct to the voice talent and would prefer to go to the production houses is what?
Well, they generally look for a media company to produce whatever they need to have produced. Usually it's not just voiceover. There's a visual component to it, video or screen capture, PowerPoint, whatever the case may be. So when they're looking for somebody to do this work, they're not looking for voiceover talent. They're looking for media production. And this is an important point. It's you better leverage your time by marketing yourself to production companies rather than end users, because they typically don't work direct with the voice talent anyways. I let them do the hard work. They do all the marketing. I just get on their roster. I just say, hey, I'm Bill DeWeese. If you ever need a voice talent, here I am. So I let them go out and get the clients, and then they just call me up when they need somebody. So I mean, not to oversimplify the process, but that's basically how it works.
Okay, so then let's move along then to, are we on Tuesday yet?
Yes, that actually concludes Tuesday. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, I did work for TD Ameritrade. That was narration. More pharmaceutical testing narration, this ongoing project that never ends, which is a good thing. Inventive Health, a narration for them about reviewing assessments. I did do an ad on Wednesday. It was a local ad for a sign company. And then I recorded a leadership course. And that was Wednesday. Again, a lot of narration again.
This was done for a production house as well?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
The leadership course was...
Yes, that was done for a media production company as well.
Okay.
So I rarely ever have any contact with the end client. My clients are the middleman.
Gotcha.
Which works out really well. Thursday, I did some on-hold narration for AAA in the Carolinas, more training for Cisco, more training for, when I say more, meaning I've been doing this for the past few weeks. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that. I recorded some more for PricewaterhouseCoopers and more drug regulatory training narration. Yeah. That was only 4 projects, but it was a full day.
Got it.
A lot of reading.
So now if you were to sort of put how would you measure volume per day? Would it be number of pages read?
You could look at it that way. Also, number of finished minutes.
Okay.
I can put out 3, 4, maybe more if I need to, finished hours of audio every day.
Wow.
It's just, but that's if I got to keep my nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
to do that.
But that would be, I think, on the very high end for any voiceover artist to within a day's work finish 3 or 4 hours of
I mean, beyond that, you're really pushing the bounds of your body's capabilities.
Right.
So that was Thursday, and then today, lots of different stuff. Today, I did more pharmaceutical material. New Mexico PBS, as I always do on Friday. I did training for a grocery chain called Big Y. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe that's out your way. No.
Nope.
Lawyerpros.com website, and it's to be used on the website, explaining how it works, like an explainer type of thing. I did a narration for CIR Systems, also an explainer video regarding flexible spending accounts or FSAs. I did another commercial this week, as I did last week, for the Canadian Automobile Association. I've done a series of those. And then also an explainer video for Northwestern Benefit.
And so with all of these things that you've done, I have yet to hear recently of any of the big jobs that you've been sort of trying to shoot for using agents, et cetera, et cetera. What's the status of getting that work? And where
like those big $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 jobs?
Yeah.
I haven't had one for a while. It's really interesting, and I tell you, I'm a little torn because I have to operate this like a business to be as profitable as possible. And so I get a lot of audition opportunities, and I have to be very careful and discerning as to which ones. Because when I'm doing that, the truth is I've got plenty of work to do. There's never a lack of work. It's all my biggest challenge is getting it all done.
Got it.
So when do I pause for 30 minutes and do a few auditions? So I have to, a lot of auditions I don't do that I get from agents. I just have to take a pass on. So I try to really focus in on things I have the best opportunity for, but I still try to do some because, again, it's kind of like, it's spinning the wheel at the casino because it might, it could pan out, it could happen. But then again, I don't want to spend hundreds of hours on auditions over the course of a year for something that's not going to pan out. So I hope that makes sense. It's kind of like managing this like a portfolio. High risk.
Are the agents less apt to push you because you don't really appear to be putting this front, center, and most important?
I really, this week or maybe it was last week, I got a call from one of my agents asking me specifically asking that I had a couple times this week where they asked me to specifically audition because they thought I had a good shot at something. So when that happens, then I really try to give it some attention because I don't want to ruin those relationships. But the truth is, I don't need an agent, and I've got plenty of work. But it's like, again, it's kind of like a portfolio. So I like to have that small little bit of high risk, high return. I'm willing to risk a little bit of time for a high return. And, maybe someday that'll turn into something more. For some people, it's bigger than for others. But I've put so much time and energy in cultivating the type of work that I do, narration. I mean, that's my niche. That's what people like me for. And so, anyhow, so what I'm doing now is over time, I'm cultivating higher pay clients in that niche.
Yeah. And so now it is true, though, like I think we've discussed before, that once you land some of this higher profile kind of work through agents, that work will get more of a similar kind of work, correct?
I mean, it can, not necessarily. I think the upside of that is that you become maybe more of a known quantity to a certain number of people, perhaps within the agency that hired you to begin with. And so maybe they're less apprehensive to push you out there. But not necessarily. Some people, I mean, I've coached a lot of talent who, they get a job once every several years. It doesn't necessarily mean, you get regular work by any means.
Well, we sort of finished up talking about the week. Any big takeaways that you think you learned or those people who are watching or listening could learn from you?
Well, I think you have to allow, and I've said this before, and I'll just repeat. I know I repeat a lot of things, but I think this is really important. You have to allow the market to, over time, to tell you what you're good at. Like we were just talking about narration. I mean, I do other things. I do promo work. I do commercial work, and I think I'm pretty good at those things. I do quite a bit of radio imaging, but the preponderance of what I get, it's narration. That's what clients like. IT narration, oddly enough. I get tons of it. And so, that's what the market says they like me for. So that's where I need to focus my time and energy. And so for you, it might be different, but I think you don't want to jump too far ahead and try to figure out your niche in the first week. But over a period of time, months, and for me now 10 years, it's becoming pretty clear to me where I belong in the grand scheme of things. So you have to be content with that. And what I like to do more sexy stuff where I'm being heard on TV somebody did email me this week and said, hey, I just heard you on CNBC doing a commercial for Aegis. And I actually forgot that I'd done that.
Right.
And so, occasionally those things pop up, but most of my stuff is, I don't want to say mundane, but it's not glamorous by any means.
Yep. And again, this podcast may not be glamorous, but it is important. And those people who like it, we want to make sure that they give it 5 stars on iTunes and rate it and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we need from them?
Lots of reviews. That's what we need. Good
Yeah,
iTunes and review, yes.
Why? We want that because we want to get the word out there. And apparently it's kind of frustrating because as Bill and I look at the iTunes, all the voiceover options that are there for people, we aren't anywhere near the top. And it's because iTunes puts you in sort of a queue based on the number of reviews you have. And I frankly think it's appalling that we don't have more. But that's not its fault. That's just how it is.
Right.
Similar to the fact that we are number 1 in the YouTube channels in terms of the most number of subscribers of any of the other voiceover podcast or any other voiceover channels, I should say.
Yes. So, you know the rules of the game. The rules of the game are the more reviews we get, the more people will be aware of the podcast.
And again, if you have time, make sure, folks, to either attend the webinar of the VOP2P, and again, you'll see it on your screen there. Or if not, you can get a hold of the recording. So thanks all very much for watching, listening, etc., and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Fred.